Changing subjects, we'd like to ask you about the Court of Master Sommeliers. There was the instance of cheating in the 2018 Master Sommelier exam, the very delayed response to Black Lives Matter, and most recently, the New York Times article detailing numerous sexual assault and harassment allegations. Can you tell us your thoughts and what is being done by and within the organization to address these issues?
Yeah, that's a nice list of black marks on the association. Right, starting from the top, going down there. My thoughts on the cheating scandal. I think I think there's a lot of stuff that's unresolved. I think there's a lot of people's lives that were negatively impacted by that horrible situation, and it's really, really unfortunate to have some qualified, deserving people that did indeed pass the Master Sommelier exam, and now they're just put in this group of people that was set aside to preserve, at the time, what the board thought was this integrity of the examination in the organization, but it was at the expense of these people that worked really, really hard. For any of us that have
and spent so much money,
time,
yeah,
you think of the impact. Talk about impact on your life, your spouse,
yes,
your children, the people that are around you. There's so much sacrifice that goes into that, and to think of actually legitimately passing that exam
finally
and coming up with nothing at the end of it, it's horrible. I wish there was a way that we can, maybe there is a way that the new board and some of the things that that have changed recently could resolve that in a way that would be better. I don't think it's ever going to be perfect. It's got to be better than that. And
for listeners out there that don't know this whole scandal, this is the Court of Master Sommeliers, who's the certifying board for Master Somms in the country, and I still laugh. They call themselves the court. I'm like, what are we in medieval times?
Exactly.
But anyway. And so this one Master Somm who was on the board was taking bribes to supply answers. Is that?
No, I think the situation was this person decided to take it upon themselves to send an email to some of the candidates that included some of the wines that were going to be included in the examination.
And why would one do that?
I can't for the
okay. So he wasn't getting
figure
paid
out,
or...
and quite frankly, I think it would actually probably do. Even if it was undetected, it would probably do more harm. Just how unfair of somebody just to assume that let me provide somebody with some of the answers. As a candidate going in there, if that would poison anything you were doing, even if it didn't. It
might mess with your mind even more because you're which one is the dot?
Totally,
right?
100%. So it's such an unfair thing to do across the board. It's the greatest breach of the confidentiality and the trust that we put into this organization and the process and the people associated with it. There are a lot of people that go to great lengths to make sure that this exam is done perfectly every single time, and to have a board member do that is just so unacceptable. And
and people dedicate a decade sometimes because you have to pass all three levels. It resets if you don't pass all three.
If you don't pass all in 3 years, then you reset.
Okay.
So there's been people that have gone through 2 full cycles of reset to do this. It took me 3 years to get the tasting part of that examination, and it's a lot of work. I would hate to have somebody in an unfair situation send me some email. Imagine opening that email.
Right.
That's horrible. It's just so bad. But
they'll never know who got it and who didn't.
I think
how can they not trace it? Oh, because it might be that then that person told someone else, or
sure, But there's got to be a way to maybe figure out some of the people that had no exposure to that, certainly didn't know, and passed the examination legitimately. That would be my hope, to figure some things out. And there's. Certainly with some of the stuff with the Black Lives Matter and the lack of response there, that's also unacceptable. That's something that
people were calling them out. What say you? And it was just crickets. This is a bunch of white men up.
Yeah, and so I think it speaks to the changes that have to be made in the organization, to the transparency that needs to be, provided to people with, whether it's voting on certain things with the board, whether it's some of the examination information. I think this organization has got to the point now we're at a crossroads, we need to change. So, we just had the previous board step down. We're in the process of final parts of the election. We have elected a new board.
Mm-hmm.
We have a female, Emily Wines, at the top as our director, which is super exciting. She's an amazing master sommelier. She's an amazing person, and she's unbelievably bright and going to do a great job.
Great.
And then we're in the process of looking at, we have 3 candidates that we're going to choose from that comes up in the next couple days, and so we'll have a vice chair and a chairman by the end of the year, which is really exciting. So, in moving into
Seemed like a great group of candidates.
it is, and I've sat on the board for a term, and it is a lot of work, and it's not something that you get paid for, and it's not something that most people aren't sitting there giving you an attaboy or pat on the back for what you're doing. So it's a lot of thankless work, but it's so important. I mean, if we want to keep this organization moving forward and actually develop, it's got to be done, because it's in any organization, racism, discrimination, sexual harassment, none of that stuff is acceptable.
Yeah.
And for the change that needs to take place moving forward, we're looking at some of the very, very top of the list items that need to take place are bringing in an outside CEO to run the organization.
Great.
And having 3, 4, 5 different members on the board that are not a part of our organization, but are that
Smart.
have experience, that are professionals in other areas,
Yeah.
that can help us mold the future of the organization in a way that is inclusive, that is professional, that is not some little club
Yes.
that
Boys club.
has the potential for anybody to abuse power. There shouldn't
Sure.
be none of that.
So if the thing I think there were so many parts of it that were so disturbing, so I don't even know where to qualify this, but the fact that Jeff Kruth,
Yeah.
right, was the main offender, and he's not the old boys club. I mean, he clearly is, theoretically, but what is he, 35?